Hi, this is Anna from Poland.
Hello, Anna. How are you?
I'm good. Still a little scared. You just appeared so
So
suddenly. I
sorry.
was like, oh, no, no. I think it's sort of in line with the vibe of your film. So I mean, I get it. Obviously, being Polish, I gotta start with asking you about the co-production aspect. I know, the Polish producers are very proud of it. As far as I know, there was just a screening, I think, yesterday in Warsaw.
Yeah.
So, I mean, how did it come about? How did guys started this journey?
I grew up um, admiring the work of Krzysztof Kieślowski and all the Andrzej Wajda and all the gang from those days, and especially the short story about love, the short story about killing, the feature films. Those are. I'm a student of that school, and I
Mm,
always wanted to work with a Polish cinematographer. So when I was writing this, my first two feature film, I couldn't do it because there was money requirements. When you do
sure.
co-production, there is a lot of it. This time I went and started finding a Polish co-producer to make sure this time I work with a Polish cinematographer, you know. And I contacted Lava first, they didn't answer me. Then I called a friend of mine who, Magnus Von Horn. I said, Magnus, please, can you put some words for me? I
We know
want to
the guy,
work with
yeah.
Lava. Magnus called Lava, called Mariusz, and then Mariusz answered, and we got on a call, and the rest is history.
hmm
I love to work with them, and I'm very, very proud that we have made a film together.
No, absolutely. You have a film to be proud of, and I no wonder that you loved working with them because I do feel like they're fantastic. Um, but this film had a pretty amazing journey. I feel like, considering its impressive launch at Sundance, all the awards it was showered with, and now being, a candidate for the major awards of the season. I mean, what sort of observations do you have after this almost year with it, promoting it, talking to people, how they see it, how they react to it?
What what I've learned about this movie is that this movie crawls under the skin.
Hmm.
You know? People watch it and they don't know what to ask and what to say. And then 2 months later, a conversation is coming. Now a
And they're
year
like, ah,
later, yeah, yeah. For example, when we started in Sundance, our Rotten Tomato score was 96. Now it's 98. So it's going up. Usually things goes down, right? So it's a movie that takes its time to come back. And what I like to describe it to knock the door of the audience, right?
hmm
So I think it's the quality of the film that it's haunts you down the road.
hmm
It doesn't give you all the answers, but
No,
it
that
does
would be
leave
so
you,
boring.
So it kind of brews, it boils slowly and comes back. That's something I've learned in the past year, that this is a movie that I'm really hopeful that with more time it will find its own cult followers.
Hmm. So I know that your path is not obviously limited only to being born in Iran, but I just wonder how much the fact that you are a representative of the Iranian diaspora, how big part of your identity is it? And maybe the feeling has shifted over the years.
Now I have almost lived the same amount outside Iran than I've lived inside Iran, you know. And inside Iran, I am also a minority, right? I am indigenous from southwest of Iran. So when somebody tells me you're Iranian, I'm like,
Mm.
which kind of Iran, right? Because Iran is a vast country with more than 20 ethnicities and languages. And so my Iran, the version I know, is the Iran of Kiarostami, the Iran of Bahram Beyzai, the Iran of Sorab Sheikh Saleh, the Iran of weavers from my tribe, the Iran of orange blossoms from the south. That that is me, and I'll carry that in my films, in my stories, in my heart, right? But I am an absolute admirer of Krzysztof Kieślowski, right? The gloomy, cloudy days of his films will haunt me forever. I am a huge student of Polish poster design, right? I am a student of David Lynch and Buñuel and Pasolini. So my identity is very fragmented in many ways. And somewhere between all these fragments, a movie like The Things You Kill can appear, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not a local film of a very, very limited tradition. It's a movie that many tradition had to come together. On our sets, many languages were spoken: French, Polish, Spanish, Turkish, Farsi, right?
Mm-hmm.
So truly, it's a co-production of not finances, but traditions.
Mm-hmm. Journalists love to summarize things. You know, we have to write our synopsis and everything has to be short and communicative, especially when you're promoting. Yeah, you pitch, it has to be brief. And I feel like the description of a film that many journalists, many reviewers tend to sort of go back to is this patriarchy drama. And I wonder how accurate would you find it? Is it anywhere, you know, near what you thought this should be?
Mhm. I make this movie took us 8 years to make. So when you spend a decade of your life, best years of your life on a movie, you want a movie that lasts, not a year or 2 years. You're hoping that this movie will be watchable 50 years from now, right? So when I was writing it, I created a platform for participation. It's not what I wrote that was difficult. It was what I didn't write, right? So deciding what not to give the audience and creating a platform that has enough gaps for audience to can and participate in the film and make their own films, right? So patriarchy is one of the gaps that people come in and find themselves in that, right? The fragmentation of the identity, the masculinity crisis, the role that women play in the patriarchy, you know, both as subjected to the violence and participation in the violence, the role as storytellers of our societies, right? The role that love plays, what it means to be a father, what it means to be a mother. The most beautiful dialogue in the film for me as someone, which I didn't write that line, is when the wife asks about, do you want to be a mother? And she says, I want to feel loved, right? I want to know what it means to love unconditionally, right? So the movie has all this, all these layers, and patriarchy is definitely one of the overarching umbrellas that can bring a lot of these themes under it. So it's not a bad way to summarize it.
This is probably my last question and also a follow-up to what I just asked, but I feel like the moment when you know, release your film to the audience, it's a tender moment. It can be frightening. It can be very beautiful. We've talked about what reviewers wrote, but you've already had a chance to meet the audiences several times upon several different occasions. And the sentiment, the sort of emotional motivation behind this film, everything that you gave to it, do you feel like it is being sort of, how do you say that? This is a difficult word, reciprocated. Is this the word?
Reciprocate.
Yeah. Do you have that feeling?
I really wanted a movie that is unsettling, that is disorienting, a movie that comes back. And especially at the end of the film, I really tried to design an end that it leaves you with like, what just happened? Right. So that definitely comes across. And at the end of all the screenings, audience really had no idea, okay, how do I go about this film? Do I like it? Do I dislike it? Is this, what kind of movie is this? And usually at the Q&As that I've participated, the first we had like 15, 20 minutes, and nobody asked a question in the first 10 minutes of the
Of
film,
course.
you know? And then toward the end, everybody has a question, right? Um, I had people who come to me sobbing,
Mm,
that I hugged them and my entire shirt was wet of their tears. Uh, but I had this encounter with a 6 years old man in New York after the screening. He didn't say a word. He just came, shake my hand, and left. But I
mm,
saw a man shattered by the film to the point that I almost felt guilty making the film. And here is a white man in Brooklyn coming to watch the film and being shattered. And I was like, maybe we managed to pass the borders,
mhm.
reached out to people on a very shared human connections we have.
I think if you can see that in somebody else's eyes and in their body, in their posture, it's like, a tangible proof that you got where you needed to be, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I saw that in the man.
That's wonderful. Okay, thank you. Because I know Taylor wrote some time ago, probably 2 minutes. I'm pretty sure we're at that point, and there's someone else waiting, so I wouldn't like to steal their time. But thank you for the film. I need to rewatch it, I have to say, because I watched it in parts. I have two kids running at home, and I sort of I want to dive into it. You know what I mean? I want to be alone with it. So,
I think and also me and Bartosz Swarinsky, the cinematographer, we really made sure there are several buried treasures that it reveals itself on the second watch. For example, the sheep. If you go back to watching it, you realize that we play with the sheep and what it means in the Abrahamic tradition, the sacrifice. So there are several things that it will reveal to you in the second and third watch. So if you have the chance to watch it again, I think you will have a little bit of fun.
I will. This is great promotional thing you're just doing. I'm making notes and I'm watching it again as soon as I can. Okay.
Thank you so much, Anna. You have a
Okay.
wonderful, wonderful evening.